your shot. Yeah, you working it.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at 20 totally bizarre crossovers to ever occur in video games. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified for our latest videos. Kingdom Hearts series.
Oh, and to chronicle your travels, he will accompany you.
To Square Enix's credit, Kingdom Hearts has been around long enough that it isn't as odd as it initially was. Even so, there are still plenty of outsiders who would be confused as to why Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are hanging out with a bunch of anime-looking characters.
Great! The power's out again!
Okay, we know what to do!
The way Sora and his friends are designed just don't match up when standing next to cartoon animals. The aesthetic clashes even more harshly in Kingdom Hearts 3, where we started getting into Pixar worlds like Toy Story and Monsters, Inc. So imagine how strange it'll be when Kingdom Hearts 4 inevitably introduces Marvel or Star Wars.
It's true.
Huh? He does?
See, they don't seem bad.
NBA Street v3. Apologies for bringing up something so creepy and uncanny this early, but we'd rather just push through this one now and get it over with. NBA Street v3 had the greatest honor of featuring Mario, Luigi, and Peach as playable characters in the GameCube version.
Shake tricks.
The problem is that they each had the same animations as the NBA players that made up the roster. Basically, none of our Mushroom Kingdom heroes got touched in the slightest during the animation process. In the end, we got the trio moving in ways that simply do not match the way they look.
Oh man, sick with it out there.
Metal Gear series. Metal Gear may have never had a dedicated crossover game with another franchise, but it did cross over with two very peculiar choices. Snake Eater featured a Pippo monkey from the Ape Escape series, and even featured a minigame where Snake had to capture them. Then you had Peace Walker, which saw Snake hop onto a Trenya from Monster Hunter and head to an island to fight a Rathalos and a Tigrex. And lest we forget about that figurine of Mario and Yoshi that can be found in Twin Snakes, or the Yoshi figurine in Snake Eater 3D. Power Rangers Legacy Wars. Legacy Wars was a pretty solid title in how it brought all Rangers from every generation together in one big mobile mashup. So how is this in any way weird? Well, more than a year after the game's launch, guest characters from Street Fighter were thrown in, with Ryu having a role in the last part of the story. A couple months later, Ryu and Chun-Li were given Ranger outfits, while Cammy, my dear, sweet Cammy, was left on the bench with Akuma and M. Bison. We aren't quite sure how this collab started in the first place, but Street Fighter's place in the story of Power Rangers was quickly accepted by both Hasbro fans and Street Fighter fans. Mario Hoops 3-on-3. On the surface, Mario Hoops is simply another sport Mario felt the need to break with all the jumping, fireballs, and light amount of gambling on slot machines. It's expected. But then you get to that final tournament, and suddenly you're going up against Final Fantasy characters? We get that Mario Hoops was developed by Square Enix, and the inclusion was probably part of some deal, or both Square and Nintendo thought it'd be just neat to have. Regardless, we're not sure how to feel about a Moogle, White Mage, and Ninja playing basketball with Yoshi, Waluigi, and a Boo. Smite. For years, you could boot up Smite and sort of know what to expect. Everyone chooses their preferred god or goddess, equip their favorite skins, and get to fighting. However, the game has seen some rather absurd crossovers lately. Gods and goddesses now have skins that turn them into a variety of characters from other IPs, such as TMNT, Transformers, Stranger Things, and a wealth of Nickelodeon characters. Ever thought you'd see Invader Zim take down the almighty Zeus, or Optimus Prime fighting the powerful Thor? It's a sight. It is definitely a sight.
Twice the carnage.
Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. This was one of those games where the aesthetics and attitudes didn't exactly match up for this crossover to make sense. The Alex Kidd games have a cutesy kind of visual appeal to them. They're simple platformers meant for kids, after all. So yeah, let's just throw this child into the intense and gritty world of Shinobi, where mystical ninjas are slashing each other up, and mercenaries are firing off guns and bazookas in all directions. Not sure if a game of Rochambeau is gonna get Alex Kidd out of this one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Smashup. TMNT Smashup was, on the surface, a great crossover between all of the heroes and villains of the franchise. Well, almost all of them. You had the Turtles and Splinter, of course, alongside Shredder, Fugitoid, April, Casey Jones, and even the Night Watcher. But things got a bit off when you unlocked the Rabbids. Yes, the Rabbids are in this game, and there are 3 of them that you can unlock: Ninja Rabbid, Turtle Rabbid, and Splinter Rabbid. The Manic Buns were popping up in some unexpected places, and honestly, this was where they were starting to annoy some folks. We love them now because of Mario plus Rabbids, but back then, people weren't too thrilled.
You should go home and train.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing transformed. It was confusing to see Sega drop their own name from the sequel to Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Then we saw all of those guest characters. Danica Patrick, the Mii and Xbox avatar, Wreck-It Ralph, the heavy pyro and spy from Team Fortress 2? Yeah, at some point, the game became a little less Sega and a little more everyone. Thankfully, this was the better game of the two with its tighter controls, refined visuals, and unique level design. We only wish it got more support than just throwing in Metal Sonic and calling it quits there. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Back when MK vs. DC was first announced, we all asked the same thing. How on earth are you going to blend the ultra-violence of Mortal Kombat with the widely beloved by children DC Comics heroes and villains? The result was a T for teen rating, and it did not sit well with audiences on either side. MK vs. DC was odd in premise, and even more so in the inclusion of finishing moves. Nothing felt satisfying in execution, and the story mode left much to be desired. At least it helped point NetherRealm Studios in the direction of the MK reboots and the Injustice games. So, something good did come out of this.
The Joker wins.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Hey, we're not about to dunk on Smash Brothers, but we gotta be honest and say that Ultimate, specifically, is one of the weirdest games to ever exist. Not only do you have games from Nintendo's storied history of video games represented here, but a ton of guest characters made their way here as well. Even if it has been your 20th or 100th time playing as Banjo and Kazooie and beating up Cloud Strife in the world of Minecraft, you can't help but be amazed at what was accomplished here. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate truly is a celebration of video games. It's impossible to see it through any other lens.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time!
LEGO Dimensions.
Let me go pack some rainbow-colored Lego bricks.
And I'll get my wrench.
When looking at it in a legal sense, LEGO Dimensions isn't as weird compared to the other entries here. Many of the IPs represented here are from Warner Brothers' own catalog like DC Comics, Harry Potter, Scooby-Doo, and more. But we did get expansions from outside the corporation. The Simpsons, Sonic the Hedgehog, Portal, Ghostbusters, and even Back to the Future had prominent roles in the game's story and free roam.
I believe the rift is becoming unstable. Should we take our leave through it?
Where do you think this one leads?
Heck, we even almost got a third year of expansions that would have added DreamWorks franchises in like Shrek. LEGO Dimensions was a real treat for the few of us that got to play it. Truly. Dead by Daylight. We understand that Dead by Daylight was not intended to be as much of a crossover game as it is today, but ever since Michael Myers was added in, we've seen the door kicked off of its hinges. Now we've got Freddy Krueger, Saw, Resident Evil, Ash from Evil Dead, The Ring, and even Ripley and the Xenomorph from Alien. On top of that, Nancy, Steve, and the Demogorgon from Stranger Things have returned to the game after being delisted for 2 whole years. And that's what makes Dead by Daylight the ultimate love letter to horror movies, TV, and video games. We know some folks are begging for Five Nights at Freddy's to make its entrance, but we already got the best bear in gaming. It's naughty time! PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Now, when you look at half of the roster, PlayStation All-Stars makes total sense. You know, Sweet Tooth fighting Kratos while Nariko and Fat Princess take on Spike from Ape Escape and Parappa the Rapper. It's when you look at the third-party stuff where things get weird.
Check out this new comic book.
Wow, Joe Chan is such a great hero.
Heihachi makes some sense with Tekken being on PlayStation for the early years, sure. And you can sort of make a case for Dante, but the Big Daddy from BioShock? Isaac Clarke from Dead Space? Raiden from Metal Gear Rising? And why is Cole split into 2 separate characters? Strange choices made for this title, for sure. Fortune Street series. So, we could totally see a game where Mario, Dragon Quest, and Final Fantasy get smushed together. After all, Nintendo and Square Enix have done several collaborations throughout their history. But why make the mashup a convoluted game of Monopoly? We were really hoping for something like an epic RPG, you know, like Super Mario RPG, or at the very least, a weird platformer, or a mix of the two, like in Super Paper Mario. Instead, we just see them buying properties and investing in stocks. Yeah, not what we had in mind, but in their defense, Fortune Street is a great franchise, if you like that sort of thing. I certainly do, but I'm not sure if I would recommend it to just anybody. Poker Night series.
No. The player wins the hand.
The Poker Night games are still trippy to look back on. This short-lived duology from Telltale Games mashed a handful of games together for a simple yet hilarious night of Texas Hold'em. In the first game, we had Max from Sam & Max, Tycho from Penny Arcade, The Heavy from Team Fortress 2, and Strong Bad.
Thank God that's over. I've had to go to the bathroom for ages. Bye!
Poker Night 2, on the other hand, had you facing Brock from Venture Brothers, Claptrap from Borderlands, and Ash Williams from Evil Dead, with Sam taking Max's place this time. And somehow, both groups of players had unique conversations with each other that made sense in how they talked, asked each other questions, and reacted to certain plays. It's such a shame that you can't buy these titles anywhere anymore.
Oh, I'm never gonna hear the end of this. Go Team Venture.
Tunes MLB.
That's where the cows go! Ah, cow!
I don't think that has anything to do with the game.
Now, we've seen plenty of Nickelodeon crossover games over the years between Nicktoons Unite in the old days and the modern Nickelodeon Kart Racers and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. However, what was the reason behind Nicktoons MLB? Who thought it made sense to put SpongeBob and Invader Zim next to real-life MLB players? This choice wasn't just odd and aesthetic, but also logic. If you wanted a baseball game with Nicktoons characters, why not just make one without the MLB license unnecessarily tied to it? This didn't make any sense. It didn't make a lick of sense.
That'll get through into left. Slider is on with a leadoff single.
Mario plus Rabbids series. Kingdom Battle really had no business being as good as it was, but aside from the exceptional quality between that and its sequel Sparks of Hope, the Mario plus Rabbids games were incredibly strange choices for a crossover.
Hey, funky, making you faint.
First, you have Mario and friends teaming up with Rabbid versions of themselves, then you gave them weapons that neither franchises would ever wield, and to make it more bizarre, the first game added Donkey Kong in an expansion, while the second game brought back our beloved Rayman. In other words, these were fever dream games we never knew we wanted.
Bye-bye!
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty did have a visual identity once upon a time. If you wanted a realistic, gritty, literal boots-on-the-ground military FPS, you can find solace here every single year. The thing about Modern Warfare 2 is that the crossover stuff is getting way too out of control. Now, we can understand why somebody like Snoop Dogg is in it, but Nicki Minaj, Lara Croft, Ghostface, Spawn, Doom, Crash Bandicoot? Why not bring back operators from past games if you want to be crossing over characters? Guest characters are cool every once in a while, but when it's all the time, well, is this even Call of Duty anymore? Fortnite. Though it was never intended to be a crossover, Fortnite has become the weirdest and most egregious crossover game ever made. Look, we will admit that the gameplay is actually really fun, especially now that we have the no build modes. But, come on. We got Naruto using an AR on Kratos, who is lobbing grenades at the Terminator, who is sniping Optimus Prime, who has a bow and arrow aimed at Master Chief, all while The Rock barks commands for story purposes, and Goku glides down with the Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters. What in the absolute hell is this game anymore? What is happening here? What was the weirdest crossover game you've played? Did it make our list? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.